Hey all you cool cats and kittens, it's Carol Baskin from Big Cat Rescue, and I want to wish you a happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. I hope you were fortunate like me to have a father who had a good impact on your life. And if you were unfortunate like my daughter Jamie, who never had a good father figure until Howie came along, it sucks. And I'm so sorry that you didn't have that advantage. I hope there was somebody in your life who filled that role, and I hope you're celebrating that person today, whether they are with us or not. And I hope it is a wonderful day of celebration. The reason I started out here, though, was because, let me turn this around. I asked in the comments for people to tell me, when I say the word father, what is the first word that comes to your mind? And I know when I asked that to myself, my first word that came to my mind was creative. And I'm surprised because I always thought of my father as being very hardworking and very stern and quiet and protective and all kinds of things like that. But creative was the first thing that came to mind. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then I wasn't going to go live until we had like a tiger in the background or something interesting for you guys to see, which we will see in a minute. But as I was walking out here to get my bike, I was looking at the newly mowed lawn. This is the back part of Big Cat Rescue. It's where we tried to raise chickens organically, which did not work out. But it was one of the biggest failures of my life, was trying to raise organic chickens so that our cats would not die from cancer. And my father was a big part of that. But he was just adamant about the grass being cut. And it has been such a challenge since losing him in 2016 to keep the grass cut, because he was always on the lawnmower or behind a weed whacker making sure that everything was kept beautiful. And Cody came out and did this for us and mowed the lawn. But big shout out to Jamie and Victor, who make sure that we do get the lawn care done, whether it be through a service or they were hiring Cody, who's somebody who has worked for them before. Every time I see it freshly mowed like that, I think, Dad would be so relieved we didn't let the place go to hell just because he wasn't here. We kept the grass mowed. So I'm gonna go get my bike. Sorry, you're gonna see my ugly underbelly back here. Victor's golf cart is not doing so well. Poor thing. All right, bear with me. We'll probably ride past the servals because I was just out there a minute ago and I didn't say a single serval. And we'll just go straight to tigers. They're bigger, easier to see, and hopefully we can get a peek at them before it rains. I was delighted this morning to wake up to rain-drenched grounds. We've had a little tiny bits of rain, but nothing substantial until last night, and it just rained and rained and rained, and gosh, we needed it. Okay, back to the theme of the day, Father's Day. We have these amazing sandhill cranes, and before I get close to them, I'm gonna switch hands here so I can focus on them better. I don't stop right in front of them because they'll probably take my eyes out. They're pretty tolerant of me riding by on a bike. Or which one is the father? But they've been here for a long time. And I just realized I have stupidly left on the Wi-Fi. So let me switch that up. Okay, I'm back. I had the Wi-Fi on when we were in the hospital the other day with Kamal, the bobcat that was hit by a car. We did a dental on him and took the bullet out of his foot, and he has moved outside and is loving that much, much more. He's still trying to find a way to escape because he's a good bobcat, does not want to be incarcerated. He doesn't understand what he did. Probably doesn't even remember being hit by a car because he really had his bell rung. Excuse me. There were 12 cars in the parking lot this morning. I am so happy to see so many people showing up to take care of the cats. It was just delightful. I've seen 2 golf cart loads of people out. Oh, look who it is. It's Gail and Carolyn. And we're live. What are you guys doing?
We brought 2 barrels, 2 tubs, bins of photo albums from Mary Lou. I looked through and some of them are really beautiful pictures.
Oh,
so I've
wow.
been telling everybody that's here today, I said, if you want to see what Big Cat used to be with all of the different animals that we had, you guys would go through those photo albums.
Wow.
She's got everything in there.
She's
The
got
peacocks, the ducks, the swans,
the llamas,
the horses, the horse, the
everything.
deer, everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's because she was here for like 23
Yeah,
years?
she started like in the late
She started
90s.
in 97, I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's
So
like right after.
there's lots of them.
Yeah.
And you kept contact with her, right? Is that how you knew about
in
this?
fact, she ended up moving into the
complex.
association where I'm at. So her daughter gave me those pictures, thought they could be used for either education or people that are here
And we just
if
told
they
them to
wanted,
take photos. Yeah.
if they wanted the pictures.
Oh, I'm
So-
sure they will.
Oh,
Anybody
yeah.
who's been here anytime, and maybe even people who haven't been, they'll just
Yeah.
be amazed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I dropped
Yeah.
off the album that I started back when I was a volunteer of the 8x10s where they were all, and I was like, I can't keep up with this. So I dropped off all those photos too. So there's
Aw.
a bunch of 8x10s up there of some of the cats. So if people had favorite cats, they can grab them and take them.
Maybe that's why there's so many people here today.
No,
No, we just,
I don't think they knew that was happening.
yeah, we just took them up there. But it was really funny because even though I didn't start until 2000, it was like so many of those animals were still here when I started. It was like a trip down memory lane.
Wow.
I know it.
Seeing that shirt is like a trip down memory lane. It's
I
one of the first
know.
ones I ever did.
I know. I love it. I wear it all the time.
Well, thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
Mary Lou was a volunteer, as she said, since 1997, and she was on our board of directors even after she became too frail to haul around 60-pound buckets of poop. She was able to serve on our board, and then we just recently lost her. So her, as you heard, her daughter was sending over some of the photographs. Mary Lou was somebody who loved to take photographs of the cats, and she provided so many photos for our social media posts. Hello, Miss Collie. Miss Collie Tiger, so sleepy. We have a table in the gift shop where, because of our move to Turpentine Creek, we're having to get rid of everything that we don't absolutely need and that they don't need. A lot of our equipment and stuff will go to them because that's where our cats are going to be, and it needs to be taking care of our cats because that's what it was purchased for. But there are a lot of things that just don't serve that purpose. So we have set out a free table. Oh my God, Simba's being so cute because he doesn't know we're watching him. And sitting in the tunnel where, of course, I can't get a good look at you, silly boy. You're such a silly boy. I swear they love the tunnels. So this is anyway, it's a free table where we are putting out stuff for the volunteers who have stuck with us to be able to take things that are of importance to them. This tunnel is what goes out to Vacation Rotation, which is way out there. The silver you see out in the very, very far distance, that's 2.5 acres. And they go through the tunnels to go out there. But this tunnel is like, it's a tunnel to nowhere right now, Simba. It's not going anywhere. Honestly, these cats love being in the tunnels. And I think the reason for that is it makes them feel secure. They have caging around them so they know nobody can bother them or touch them, but they can see in every direction. So I think that must be why they like these tunnels so much. It's a terrible view of you. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. I don't think I can get a better angle on him either because of all the doors over there. All right. Here's a cat who's not in a terrible position. He's just laying right in front of your camera. Speaking of cameras, a bunch of our cameras went down. We're trying not to spend a bunch of money on cameras because we're spending $1.8 million building cages in Arkansas so that you guys can get there before it gets too terribly hot. Aria says, too late for that, lady. But every time it rains, man, those cameras go down. Marcy says she snuggled in her Aria blanket. She got a blanket with your picture on it. I think we have several of those at bigcatrescue.biz. If you guys go there, you can see all kinds of our cats on blankets and mugs and t-shirts, all kinds of cool stuff. All right, so while we have a cat laying here in front of us, I'm going to scroll back through the comments because I had asked, what's the first word that you think of when you think of your father, or when you hear the word father? Marcy said her grandpa was like a father to her, best man she's ever known. Sherry Lee said mine would be scratch-offs. I think that's 2 words, but hey, we get the picture. David Dadao Hanzo said watching. And so I don't know if he is referring to his father always watching, or if he was just saying that he's watching. Naomi, thank you for sharing this post. It really helps us to reach more people. Got several people here from Australia this morning. I'm not seeing an awful lot of people saying what the first word is that they think of when they think of the word father. Naomi, I'm sorry about your loss. Kathy, we did the whole goat thing. Did not work. The only thing the goats want to eat are the flowering plants. Heather Kamau is really liking being outside. He just did not want to be in that room, even though it was air conditioned and it got meals delivered twice a day and everything he could possibly need. Being inside is not what bobcats want. And so he's happier to be outside, and he will be so much happier when we are sure that he's completely healed, off his medications, and ready to be released. Deb, you're not kidding. Man, we got a lot of rain last night. It was wonderful. Rhonda, my memory of my dad is a blessing. Thank you. And I hope that's true for everyone who has lost their fathers. Yeah, Deb says the sandhill cranes are loud and oh so big. And I tried this morning. I could not get my phone out of the bracket on my bike fast enough, but they were flying in and they were making that pterodactyl noise. It was so amazing, and I really wanted to capture it for you guys and missed it. Still going through comments here. Aria, thank you for being so sweet and so still so that I can do this without much bother. Naomi, thank you for loving Carolyn's shirt. I loved making that. It was during that phase when everybody was saying, all I want to do is drink beer and do something else. And so I had to capitalize on that. Carolyn comes out a lot. You guys don't see her very often because she's usually out there with Gail. And what they do is they make sure that all of our records are staying up to date and that they're throwing out old files that we don't need anymore, which they do that all the time. It's an ongoing process. Sorry about the broken nose. Don't know what that was about. If a tiger gets a stick in its paw, but it won't go in lockout, how do you get them to the hospital? Hope Joseph? Yeah, that's a hard one. So what we try to do is get the cats used to going into their feeding lockouts every day so that they're accustomed to going into a small space. And if something like that were to happen and the cat weren't in, like, you know, excruciating pain or something, if they were just limping a little bit, we might wait till the next morning, and then when they came into feeding lockout, lock them in there. And that way there may be a chance, depending on the size of it. It seems like if it's big enough, the cat will probably be able to get it out themselves, but might be able to use tongs, or if we had to sedate the cat, we would have them in a small area. So let me see if I can see one of those areas to show you what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see that over there. So if you see that little red square, see how it's on like a little box that's attached to the side of the cage that's just maybe 4 times the width of a tiger and a little bit longer than the length of a tiger? They go in there and we can shut the door, and the vet can sedate them and do what they need there if it's something minor like that. Or if they needed to come into the hospital, they could come in. And once they're sedated in that little thing, the only way to get them to the hospital is a whole bunch of people putting them on a tarp and then putting the tarp into a transport wagon that we then haul behind one of our golf carts. Okay, I'm going through. Jen Payne says frustrating. I hope that wasn't the first word that came to your mind when you were thinking about your father, because that can be hard. You know, we look up to our dads, and of course they have a feeling like, I brought you into this world, I can take you out of it. So when there is conflict with them, we can feel really frustrated and not knowing quite how to deal with that dynamic. Thank you, Carrie Lynn. Cheryl says she loves her summer blanket. Tammy says steel guitar. Your dad must have been an interesting dad. Nicole says protector. Yep, I think that is a role that a lot of men assume in their families. I've always felt like that was my role, but I think that's because I'm an Enneagram 8. Lisa is snuggled up in her Jinx blanket. Molly says loving. Oh, how sweet. Vicky says security. Jen Payne also says mist. Tammy says my father loved music and played the steel guitar. Austin says best father ever. Oh, my Katniss. Deb said her word would be smart, and I've heard a lot about Deb's father, and he really was smart. He planned ahead to make sure that not only he was taking care of his family while he was alive, but that even after he was gone, that they would be taken care of. And so definitely I think he was smart in the way that he planned for the future. Brittany Parker says hard worker when I think of my dad. Naomi says good man. Marcy says my grandpa would have loved Big Cat Rescue. Deborah says her dad passed away year before last, and she sure misses him. Hello, Daniel from Scotland. Rhonda, deep is the first word she thinks of when she thinks of her dad. That's cool. Kitty says gentle. Christine says whistle, because he whistled all the time. Diane says work. He was a truck driver and a wonderful father. Barbara says resilient. Cheryl's father was at Pearl Harbor. Wow. Was that D-Day? Is that June 6th? Provider, and my papa, oh, I'm sorry, Dawn says provider, and my papa was like a father to me, the same with my uncle, but they were providers and straight. Janae says hero. Laura says love. Bella says, I never knew my father, but my father-in-law, it would be brave. Lisa says, my father left us when I was 5. My dad was a stepdad, but the only steps in our house went to the front door. I love that. Deborah says hard. He was a very hard man. Yeah, you know, some of the pictures I look at of my family, my mother and father, and I think, oh my gosh, you know, here they were in their 20s, their early 20s. I mean, like, I think my dad might have been 19 when I was born, and my mother 20, and they were just babies raising babies and trying to do their best in a world that was so hard back then. And so when people say that their parents were hard or harsh, I gotta believe that so much of that came from all of the hardship involved. It's kind of like with the cats. It's survival of the fittest. You have to act tough so that others don't take advantage of you. Suzanne says, my father died when I was 10 months old, so I don't really know what to say. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Suzanne. Sometimes you end up with one parent having to be both mother and father. Sue Ellen says, my dad's 102, so I'd have to say persistent. I love that. Oh my gosh. Bernadette says, father means protection. Kathy said, when I hear the word father, my first thought is my own dad and how much I miss him. After that, it's support, hugs, and unconditional love. Janae, the cats do love the rain, as long as there's the right amount of it. Dawn says, father is a comfort provider and protector. And the glare on my phone is so bad, I can't hardly see this. I'm going to have to move on, I think. The website for the shirts are bigcatrescue.biz. Lisa Marie says it's 2 words, but Old Bear was my dad. Miss him dearly. Diane says, wishing my father was with us and I was cooking his favorite chicken wings. Okay, you guys are going to make me cry now. Let me see if I can find some more cats. Aria, you were fabulous. Thank you, darling. Simba has changed positions. He's still not in a very good one for us to see him without a bunch of cage wire in front of him, but this is pretty hilarious. I love this pose. I came by yesterday and he had one foot propped up on his platform. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Father's Day.
Can we all want to be like that? Best nap in the world right there.
Well, it's because he doesn't have to worry about his own housekeeping.
There you go.
Thanks to you guys.
Have a great day.
You too. Kimba Tiger is out on vacation rotation, so we won't see him. And I think Max Tiger is done with his morning walk. Usually he is very active in the morning, and then after he eats, he still continues to pace around for a good 20 or 30 minutes, just walking off all of that energy before sleeping. walking all day long. This cage right here has been empty for a while, and it has no roof on it. So the animal warriors are coming out to tear it down, and we're going to send the cage panels over to Elmira's Wildlife Refuge. If you guys are not familiar with them, they are near Tampa. I'd say they're probably about 45 minutes away. And they have big cats and bears and some other animals, I believe. I think they had a tortoise. I see you under there. Oh, you think I don't see you, right? You think she can't see me. Oh, I'm going to get her. I'm going to get that bike. No? I'm not going to get the bike? I'm so surprised. What are you doing, Flint? Sorry about the spin around here, everybody. Staying cool under there. Ooh, somebody's got the twitchy tail. So twitchy. Sherry says, caring and missed a lot about her father. Lisa Marie says, storyteller. Dad was the best storyteller of tall tales. Storytelling is really such an art. Joanne said her dad had to be a mother to her. Kathy said it was her dad who raised them. Mary Ellen says hero because he was a gunner for 65 missions. Where are we going? Where are we going, Flint? You'll get under a different platform? Are you and Flint still separated from breakfast? Is that why he's not over here yet? Going for my ankles? Susan, thank you for wearing your Priya t-shirt. Doris said love is the first word that came to her mind. Her father's going to be 92 this Wednesday. This is much harder to read and watch you, buddy. Could you sit still like Aria, please? Laura says the sound is off and she hears nothing. So, is that true? Can you guys hear me? Maybe somebody can help Laura figure out how to turn her sound on. Kelly said her dad died 3 months before she was born, so she never knew him. He was only 38. Wow. Molly, I said bigcatrescue.biz for the t-shirts. You gonna go look for him? You looking for that Nabisco? Nope, coming back over here. Name of your clothes. It's bigcatrescue.biz. Jasmine. Oh, yeah, we can head up that way. So We'll see if we can see Jasmine Tiger. I forget who said it now, but one of you said that storyteller was what came to mind when you thought of your father. And I think some of the best ways to get messages across about why we need to protect these cats in the wild and save their habitat will be through telling their stories. And so I really want to perfect my ability to tell a story that engages people. But I'm just not, it's not my natural talent. I'm more visual than that. And so I have been messing around, as you guys, if you watch my personal Facebook page, you know I'm always messing around with new technology. And I am just overwhelmed with the amazing technology that's available to us now. I had been playing around with ChatGPT 3.5 and finally upgraded to the paid version of GPT-4. It's like $20 a month, and I use it all the time, so I feel like it's the least I can do to avail myself of such amazing information. I was watching a YouTube video. I'm going to watch for Cyrus as we go by. I was watching a YouTube video about Bard, which is Google's version of ChatGPT. And so I was doing a lot of comparisons, like asking the same question of Bard that I was asking of ChatGPT to see who I liked best, and I'm still liking ChatGPT the best. But, you know, they say you get what you pay for, so maybe that's why the paid version is so much better. But what I noticed, you're adorable. You're just adorable. I'm going to try and walk past him on the inside so I can get a better look, but I'm afraid he's going to get up and follow me, and I won't be able to show you guys how amazing he is. Oh my goodness, look at these flowers. That's so beautiful. So if I can get far enough away from him, maybe he'll stay where he is. There we go. So I went to ChatGPT-4 and I said, write a story about a mother in Mongolia braving the harsh conditions and raising her family, and make it inspirational. I see what you're doing. And at the very end, reveal that it is a mother palace cat, not a human mother. And I thought it did a fantastic job of that. And then I asked it to create a title, which it did. And then I asked it to create a prompt for Adobe Photoshop. I'm using Adobe Photoshop Beta, which has the generative fill, which means you can, in this case, I just drew a square over the entire canvas, and I said, fill it with this prompt that ChatGPT wrote as an illustration for the story. And it gave me like 9 different prompts that I could use, and one of them I really, really liked. I had to do a little bit of editing to it to make it more specific to what I wanted, because these programs don't know what cats look like. They make some pretty weird looking cats. But it was a way of telling the story of what it's like to be a palace cat mom trying to raise your babies in the wild, to hopefully make people care about protecting them in the wild. It's easy for me to come out here, point a camera at Cyrus and say, this is a beautiful boy. He just needs your help. He needs you to sponsor him. You can get his sponsorship kits over at bigcatrescue.biz and look for Cyrus the caracal. That's an easy way to raise money. But I'm not going to have that. In a few months, everybody will have moved to Turpentine Creek, and I'm still going to have to be raising money to protect the cats that we have, to take care of them. Not protect them, but to make sure that they're getting food and vet care and everything else. We have promised Turpentine Creek that we will pay those expenses, and we intend to. But we also want to save these wildcats in the wild where they belong. And so it's going to be much, much harder to get people to care about cats in the wild that they can't see, I think. And so I need to be perfecting any kind of skills that I can on trying to make people care about protecting cats in the wild, because it's not just about protecting those cats. If we don't protect those ecosystems, then the whole planet will collapse. And an ecosystem isn't healthy unless it has apex predators thriving there. So by protecting those apex predators, that means everything else in the food chain underneath them has to be in perfect balance, or they wouldn't be there. And that's why this is such an important mission, not just to me, but to all of us who want to continue breathing clean air and drinking clean water and having food to eat. Rah, rah, I hear you. Rah. All right, I said we were headed over to Jasmine, but you were just too cute. I couldn't pass you up, my Cyrus. My truly Cyrus. Yeah, yes. Servals and caracals. I don't know why anybody wants them as pets. Could we just get another look at a amazing hibiscus? Gosh, that's beautiful. Oh, you know who else is over here we might be able to see is Sudsy Meow. He's the hybrid cat we rescued in West Tampa a couple weeks ago. Afton sent me a video of his caterwauling, and oh my God, it's scary. I don't see him. All right, off to Jasmine. Jasmine and Duchess. Their lake is so far down. I'm really glad that we had that good rain last night. Oh, look at you, right there. Yes, ma'am. I am gonna get a better view of you. It's perfect. She's up on her den. I can find a place to park my bike that it won't fall over. It's kind of sandy down here. And these flowers, oh, those jasmine, man, those smell terrific. Like nothing I've ever smelled before. Comes Barbara and Kat. Good morning. Are you stalking? They said you're stalking. Think you might be. Crazy cat. Here's Jasmine Tiger. Barbara says whenever her dad was in charge of meals, they had pancakes. That sounds amazing. I love pancakes. Lisa, I said my word at the very beginning of this walkabout, and it was creative, which kind of caught me by surprise, because I would have thought there were other words that would have come to my mind first about my father, because when I think of him as being a protector and strong and, you know, all of those kinds of things, but creative was what came to mind. And he's certainly shown his creative side here at the sanctuary with all of his cage designs and designs he has had to make our work with these cats so much easier, like the feeding lockouts and the way the doors work, and the way that the cages are rounded instead of square, so that we don't have to have so many posts that are blocking the view, and it makes it look much more natural. This cage out here has posts, but it was one of the first ones we built before we knew how to do them without posts. The baby bobs. Yeah, they're adorable. Man, they're growing so fast. Wow, Darbot says, reunited with my father after 30 years. Highly recommend reuniting if possible. That's amazing. Oh, so sleepy. Laura says, okay, it's my phone, I think. Oh, that's not about her father. That's about why she can't hear. Nicole, we're on 67 acres here in Tampa, Florida. And when they move to Turpentine Creek, they'll be on, I think, 460 acres, which is amazing. Barbara slept with Cyrus last night. His blanket, mind you. Again, if you guys want any of those blankets that have our cats on it, it's bigcatrescue.biz, B-I-Z. All right, Karen, I cannot read that story of yours because that is going to have us all in tears, and I got to be able to finish this live, but I am so sorry you guys are going through that. It sounds wonderful that that is happening in such a way that he's able to be surrounded by everyone who loves him. That was how it was for both my grandmother and my father and my grandfather, but they all died at home. Nicole, if you go to bigcatrescue.org/moving, it'll explain why we are moving, but the short answer is it doesn't make sense to be operating two separate sanctuaries, taking care of two populations of cats, when we could combine them, have them all in one place, have only one set of infrastructure, only one set of everything instead of two, because it's ghastly expensive. It costs us between $3.5 and $4 million a year to run the sanctuary, and we only have like 30 some odd cats. And if you figure that out, the cost per cat, it's just a ridiculous amount of money. So by putting them all in one place and funding their care there, then it enables us to sell this land, which is very valuable, and use that money for conservation, saving cats in the wild where they belong. So that's the short answer to that. And if you want the long answer, you can go to bigcatrescue.org/moving. Flipper says he thinks Kid Rock looks more like Joe Exotic. I haven't seen Kid Rock. I do not know. I'm kind of scanning the background there, looking for Duchess to see if there's any reason to even walk away from this position, and I'm not seeing her. Barbara took a lot of pictures of the flowers. Yeah, people come here and they take so many pictures of the birds. There's so many different kinds of birds here, and it's because they nest in the trees above the cat cages, and by doing that, most of our cat cages have roofs. In fact, there's a beautiful woodpecker right there. Since most of our I can't zoom in on it. Where'd it go? It's too far up. Because most of the cages have roofs, the cats can't get to the nests, and other predators can't get in through the cage to get up the tree to get to the nest, and so it's a safer place for the birds to be. Flipper, we're in Florida. Joe Exotic's zoo was in Oklahoma. Thank you, Kathy, for posting the link to the move. Yeah, if you want to help us with that, you can go to bigcatrescue.org/TC for Turpentine Creek, bigcatrescue.org/TC, and you can help fund that move. Sorry, we're kind of waving all over the place here. See if I can get a different angle on her. Yes, I can see all your stripes from over here. All the stripes. Yeah, I am not seeing Duchess over there, which tells me she's probably inside her den. There are live webcams out here on Tiger Lake, so if you go to bigcatcams.com, you can see all of our cats live, except for the cameras that died in the rain yesterday. I started talking about that. I've been trying to save money everywhere that I can, and not spending so much money on these cameras was one way to do that, but they just break down all the time. Not so much the Explore cameras, those are stable, but the little Nest cams that we have all over the place, seems like every time they get wet. Duchess is under the platform. Under the platform. Out by the lake? Lisa Little, we actually met with Arnie. He's a guy who is really big into setting aside corridors for the Florida panther, and he was looking at Big Cat Rescue, wondering whether or not this could be turned into a park, and bike trails, of course, would be nice, and keep it natural. But even he, after looking at it, said, you know what, the best use for this land is actually for homes, because it's so close to Tampa and it's so isolated from anything else. If you look at a map, it's like the only green spot out here. And so there's no paths for wildlife to use this property properly to be able to get from point A to point B. They would just be so isolated here that if they tried to migrate in any direction, they're going to get hit by cars. And as much as I hate to see this beautiful, magical place turned into a subdivision, that really is the best use for it, both from the perspective of what's happening around Tampa. We have so much urban sprawl, and by being able to keep people closer to their jobs downtown, which, if you can hear that roar in the background, that's the Veterans Expressway, so we're like 15 minutes out of downtown Tampa. And it's less pollution, it's less driving, it's less animals being hit on the road. All of it works out better from that perspective. And it's an awful lot of money because of it being such a prime location. And so that means instead of us being able to donate $100,000 a year for conservation, which is what we've been doing for the past several years, we can probably do about $500,000 a year. And that's even if nobody wants to help us, because I'm not sure people care about saving animals they can't see. We started talking about this a little bit earlier. I don't know how much people are going to care about stories that I write about how amazing they are, and I don't know how many pictures or videos we can get of them in the wild where they belong that would make people care. And so by selling this land, we can ensure that for at least the next 20 years or so, we can donate at a very high level and really make a difference while it is so important. Because once we lose those cats in the wild, there's no going back. We have to save the ones that are there. The whole notion of breeding them in captivity and releasing them, that's just stupid. It's a loser's mindset of, well, we'll just rape and pillage, and then, when we completely destroy everything, then we'll breed the cats and put them back in the wild. No, it's not how it works. You have to save the planet. You have to do that first, and that's what we're going to do to the best of our ability, and with your help. Some of you have already pledged that you will be following us and staying with us and doing that important work, and I just can't thank you enough. In that way, you are all exemplifying what we think of as fathers, as those who are loving and protecting and nurturing, and all of that you bring to this organization by your help. So thank you very, very much for that. Well, I'm clearly keeping this girl awake when she would rather be asleep, so I'm going to end it here. Wishing you all a very happy Father's Day. Happy remembrances of the amazing fathers you had. And for those of you who did not have amazing fathers, again, I hope you had somebody in your life who filled that role to one degree or another. And if not, I hope maybe your gift to future generations is that you are that father figure. Whether you're a male or a female, doesn't really matter. We all have that capacity to protect